So this is CapCan Knows, the official podcast of the Capital Area College Access Network. We are excited to engage the community in conversations about college access. I am your host, Rachel Cortez, an AmeriCorps Vista serving with CapCan. Today, Michelle Strauss, CapCan's executive director, and I are joined by Luke Richards, admissions representative for Northwood University at LCC's University Center. So let's get started. First of all, Luke, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so our first question on CapCan Knows is always, who encouraged you to go to college, and why was it important for you to continue your education after high school?
Well, I had a lot of encouragement, many different individuals in my life after high school to go to college, which was great. My family was filled with kind of people either in teaching or in the medical profession. My brother went to MSU, and, I kind of had high aspirations for myself. I really wanted to be a nurse. So, you kind of have to go to school in order to be a nurse. And so, it was important for me to be successful after high school and college for many reasons, but ultimately I always kind of had my head set on getting a degree from MSU. Yeah.
Great. And so you've been at Northwood for how long? And tell us a little bit more about Northwood.
Yeah, so I've been at Northwood for 5 years. 5 years in June, so just a little over 5 years. In Northwood, for those who don't know about the university, is one of the largest business-only universities in the nation. Our residential campus, which is nestled up in Midland, offers almost 20 different undergraduate majors as well as graduate programs, and we actually just launched a DBA, which is a doctoral program in business administration. Northwood, it's a smaller private university, which allows for our students to kind of have a more intimate experience and have, I would say, greater access to support from faculty and staff, which, is ultimately our way of trying to increase our students. So we have our residential program up in Midland, and then we have what's called our adult degree, which is kind of like our 3+1 umbrella program that allows students to still get their bachelor's degree in any one of those 20 different business majors, but in a little bit more of a flexible, tailored approach. We have those programs all over the place throughout Michigan, and you can do them completely online as well.
Thanks.
Is what is the 3+1 program at LCC, and how does Northwood participate?
So the 3+1, I would say, is essentially an agreement or an articulation or articulated pathway, I guess, for students where they can complete up to 3 years of their college through the local community college like LCC, and then just 1 year with the 4-year college where they would like to earn their degree from. Not all colleges offer a 3+1. Most, I would say, are 2+2, like the MSUs. The bigger 4 years only transfer in up to 60 credits. Northwood is one of those where you can transfer in up to 92 credits from the community college. We've had our partnership with LCC for, over 40 years. We've had plenty of different program offerings over the years. Right now, we have 7 different 3+1 articulations. So, basically the way Northwood participates in that is I work directly with a lot of the academic advisors and success coaches at LCC to ensure that the students are meeting the requirements for their associate's degree, but also so that those classes that they're taking translate into their Northwood degree, so that those classes kind of align. So they're really killing 2 birds with 1 stone. They're completing their associate's degree, but also they're checking off classes as they go that pertain to their Northwood degree as well. And then once they reach a certain point, typically it's around once their associate's degree is wrapping up, we usually start what's called congruent enrollment or dual enrollment, where they're enrolled at both Northwood and LCC. with our partnership, we have what's called a consortium agreement, which allows students to get financial aid through Northwood for the remaining 30 or so credits that they can still take at LCC while they're going to Northwood. So they're really getting financial aid for two different schools, which typically, is not a thing. So those students really are, taken care of from the first meeting with me all the way through to that, to their graduation. And so we really try to push completing the associate's degree at LCC, but then also.
So that sort of leads to where do students take classes at Northwood while they're enrolled like in the 3+1 program?
Right. Go at your own pace. You have access to all the information and resources that you need, and you do the assignments, by their deadline. No required lecture. And then we have what's called real-time online, which is the virtual in-person lecture where students have to log on at a certain time. It's typically one night per week in the evenings. And then if you want to take classes in person, it's the same format, one class per week in the evenings from 6 to 9 p.m. So online or right here in Lansing. And again, we have these articulations with plenty of other community colleges in the area. We're over in Flint, we're in Macomb, Alpena. We're all.
Ask a follow-up question, Luke. So I'm assuming all these structures that you just described were available before COVID, but they're become even more important since COVID. Is that correct?
So our Real Person Online was them recruiting our students, but also their employees returning to Northwood or coming to Northwood and having Northwood be their preferred institution for education. So, a lot of what we do with those partnerships is set up pathways for students to not only expand their experience within, while they're going to school, but also post-graduation and then beyond when they can come back. And it's not very uncommon where students come back to us after graduating with their undergrad to get a master's because they're being encouraged by their employer. And so, a lot of the companies that we partner with in specific industries like insurance or, financial industries like banking and MSTSU have kind of sought us out as institutions that really develop students who want to be leaders and who want to, work as if they're running the show or responsible for, the performance of the organization. And I think that speaks volume to, the mission that we have as a university. So we are all about kind of enhancing that student's experience at every stage of the life cycle. So, while they're at LCC, while they're with us, and then post, we want to make sure that the opportunities that they have really reflect, the education that they get.
Great. So there's a lot of intrinsic benefits to doing this program at Northwood in partnership with LCC. What are some of the other benefits that you feel are? So talk a little bit more about the financial benefits of doing the program through Northwood and then the financial aid process related to that.
Yeah. So basically, the students can do 92 credits at LCC. So right off the bat, you're, taking advantage of an additional year's worth of savings at the community college. And then you're only required to do 31 credits with Northwood. Through the 3+1, if you were to stay local, our tuition is discounted from the traditional campus. So, we have a little bit lower of a sticker price. We don't offer scholarships, but we just start at a lower price, and it's a flat rate tuition. So, if you were to do the 3+1 in Lansing with LCC and Northwood, the sticker price all in is less than $25,000. So before any financial aid, any grants that take place, you're right there around a year's worth at a 4-year institution. So the opportunity to save is significant. Most of our students, I would say, graduate with little to no student loan debt. Part of that is because they're able to work, and go to at the same time. And with dual enrollment, we can kind of spread the burden of the higher tuition rate out over a longer period of time for that student, so they can, pay a little bit out of pocket here and there, and then use whatever grant or loan money they need. So the financial savings are great. And if you think about, graduating from a 4-year private business school with less than, most of our students, I would say, are sub $15,000. That's awesome. It opens up your opportunities for, careers significantly, because you're not burdened financially on, picking a degree or a career that, is just readily available right at college. You can kind of be picky. Mm-hmm. And so with the financial aid, a student would go and get financial aid through LCC for 2 years for their associate's degree. And then, like I said, around at the beginning of the 3rd year, we would look at congruent enrollment. And with our consortium agreement, the students usually take 2 classes with LCC and 2 classes with Northwood if they're a full-time student. The Northwood classes are accelerated, so they're 8 weeks long. And so what that typically looks like is 2 classes, 1 at a time, in a 16-week semester with Northwood, and then 2 classes that are 16 weeks with LCC. So you're essentially in 3 classes at a time, but only, still completing 4 in the semester. The consortium agreement allows those classes at LCC to be counted towards your total number of courses or credits. So you're still considered a full-time student through Northwood. And so when we start to do that process at 2 years, or at the 3-year mark, you get access 2 years to additional grants outside of the Pell that are offered specifically to Northwood University as a private school. So in addition to the Pell, you have access to the Michigan Tuition Grant, which is this year, it's $2,800 a year. So, if you get access to that for 2 years, you just saved yourself, $5,600, which, that's a third of the Northwood, cost. So all in all, if I was able to go back and do it again, I definitely would pick one of these routes, because I worked my entire way through school. I was constantly trying to balance work and school, and it was tough with, trying to go to school during the day and then working at night. And, this program just really is incredible in the way that it allows the students to have control of how their school will balance with their work and their life, which isn't always the case.
Yeah. So the students, regardless of their age, still need to complete a FAFSA application in order to be able to take advantage of all of these resources that you were just talking about, correct?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. And so we always encourage students to fill those out as soon as possible. For the Michigan Tuition Grant, that deadline, I think, is usually March 1st. So it's pretty early in the financial aid application cycle. So we always encourage students, we're adamant about contacting students and reminding them of those types of deadlines. So they still need to do a FAFSA. I encourage students, whether they think they're going to take out loans or not, to fill out a FAFSA, because you might just qualify for grants, and even especially during that transition period between just going to LCC and then going to Northwood and LCC, your need as a student is going to change. So they base that your financial aid on your family contribution and your need. And so when your need goes up, once you enroll in that 4-year institution, a lot can change, especially if it's, if you go from, 23 to 24 in terms of your age, that could also play a significant role. So, there's just so much that goes into this process. And I've been lucky to have, the opportunity to work with a lot of cool people at LCC who have, taken me under their wing and shown me the ropes. And we've built processes and procedures to kind of help make that transition smooth for students We've also looked at curriculums to where we're launching an enhanced associates in business this fall, actually, that allows a student to take 92 credits at LCC without having to enroll. So they'll be able to still receive financial aid at LCC for 92 credits rather than just the associate's degree. And so that we're, just kind of another way we're trying to help make this process as a 3+1 a little bit smoother and less barrier build for students.
So Luke, you mentioned before we started taping that you're starting to see more interest from, let's say, the younger student that is completed or wants to complete at LCC, but then looking at their next steps. So is there anything different for that younger student compared to, let's say, an older returning student, or is it all the same?
Really, there's a lot that a student younger, just entering in this stage of their career, their college career, could do to set themselves up for success. And really that's get a hold of as much information and get a hold of as many people that can help you put together a path as possible. Regardless of where you're going to go, if you're going to stay at the community college for, a year or two, whether you're going to transfer after a year or two, it really, you can't do yourself more of a favor than to put together a plan. And because college it's so easy to, have a semester that you have 2 classes that didn't count, you have classes that did count. And you hear information from one person might pertain to, just your LCC courses and not necessarily the requirements of your bachelor's degree. So if I were a student, entering the community college arena or the college arena in general, I would say plan, and do as much research as you can. There's an easy way to make sure that your time is not wasted, and that your time is, adequately applied to, your 4-year degree. And it doesn't have to be all crammed into the first, year. It can be semester by semester. It's just important to plan, and make sure you're utilizing your resources.
Right.
Like me.
Exactly. So your office is based out of LCC University campus. How do people get a hold of you if they want to sit down and plan with you?
Yeah, they can email me. They can set up a virtual meeting. I'm going to be back in the office next week. So if you'd like to set something up in person, we can do that. I got a Northwood cell phone, so I can be reached, really anytime, any day. I'm not one of those people who can just shut it off very easily. So to the students' benefit, they can kind of get a hold of me whenever they need.
Well, for our listeners who are not aware, we work very closely with Luke, and he's been a wonderful partner. He comes to a lot of our in-person and virtual events that we host in the community. So we encourage you to look at your options with Northwood if you're thinking about anything in a business career. And right now, since it's still summer, we are offering our Summer of College Advising. So feel free to reach out to us at CapCan as well. If you're not sure where you want to go and who you want to talk to, but we're happy to help steer you in the right direction. So close us out here.
All right. So it seems like our time is running out, and I have one last question. We end every interview with CapCan Knows, where you state your name and what you know. So I ask you, Luke Richards, who are you and what do you know?
My name is Luke Richards, and I know that it is extremely important for you to get your bachelor's degree, especially in now, the times we are in now. That bachelor's degree is going to be your key to any position you want.
Thank you. Wow.
We are in now. That bachelor's degree is going to be your key to any position you want.
Thank you. I'll just tell our listeners that the recent report came out that the majority of jobs that are of a living wage in this state do require at least an associate's degree and many of them bachelor's degrees. So yes, you're right, Luke. It's important for you to continue your education beyond high school.
Thank you, guys.
For more information on CapCan, please be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or visit our website at capcan.org. Thank you all for listening to us today.